Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo.
Hello, I'm Johnny Bravo. Today you're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Luke Gipson, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. So I've known Luke for a long time. We used to work at the Skate America in Mechanicsville. I was a DJ. He was a floor guard. He came up to me and said that he was in a band and gave me a card back in the day for a band called WolfTown. So season 2 is all about in the band. I wanted to get Luke on here because he's still in a band after all these years and talk about everything that he's done. So Luke, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Johnny, for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me a little bit about your musical self. What are you currently doing in music? What's the name of your band and group?
Currently, right now, I'm playing in a band called S2-E5 right here out of Mechanicsville, Virginia. The band gets its name from the exit that we all take to go to band practice. So everybody comes from like Midlothian area, New Kent area, all around. That's the exit everybody takes, and that's where the band name came from. Musically, man, it goes way back from when I started. Just having my dad turn around and bought me a drum set when I was like 8 years old. I was influenced by my brother playing. From there, I got into marching band in school. I was doing jazz ensembles, jazz bands, anything I could to play music. Then our high school director actually put together a group of 12 of us and made a little small marching band and had us go up and audition for King's Dominion. And for several years, we did the clown band up there. Then I was doing the pop show and summer rhythm style shows up there, playing drums as a fill-in drummer. Whenever somebody couldn't make it, I'd go do my show and then run over and go do their show. And then from there, I just kind of got into the rock and roll and traveled with a band called Leggz for 4 years up and down the East Coast. That's probably been most excitement I've had playing music. And then I got married, had kids, gave it up for about 12 years and got back into it again and going strong from here on out.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. I didn't know what you worked at King's Dominion. I didn't know you were out there doing their clown band. I remember they would come around and play. They were really jovial and would get people in the crowd into what they were doing. I didn't realize you did that.
That's probably one of the best jobs I ever had. I think we did it for 5 years. Yeah, it's probably about 5 or 6 years I did. Definitely a hot job, running around on asphalt all day long, trying to have a good time, play music. We did all kinds of like jazz ensemble songs and songs that you probably heard, like radio theme songs and just stuff to have a good time.
We often, talk about on this show, like, people get involved in music. You look at Justin Timberlake or Christina Aguilera, those type of folks, they got their Disney thing kind of around this area. You have a couple of different places you can go. King's Dominion is one of them. Busch Gardens is the other one. And you can get a lot of your experience from that, doing shows. You did the band. There's plenty of opportunity there for people that are in music to kind of get acclimated into the industry. So that's a kind of a cool, starting point that I didn't know.
Yeah, probably mid-90s. One of the shows they had was like a SpongeBob show up there. And one of the guys that performed that we knew real well, his name was Marvin. He was one of the dancers for the SpongeBob show. And he was just phenomenal to watch. He really was. He took it out on his own, went out, ended up becoming Justin Bieber's head dancer when Justin Bieber became big. And then he was performing with the Cheetah Girls. A lot of people leave King's Dominion. They end up on cruise ships. It's a good stepping stone to kind of get where you want to go musically.
Well, we had a celebrity in the house when we worked at Skate America.
You
no, it wasn't me. I always get them confused. Is it Mayer? Was it Mayer that we had, John Mayer? Or is it the other guy? Mraz,
no,
Jason Mraz.
Yeah, Jason Mraz. I remember kicking him out the skating rink.
Yeah, Jason Mraz used to come to our skating rink and skate. And we used to do at the skating rink, or I would do a little dance competition in the practice rink. And I think he was in there and he would like to do that while he was younger. And he's from Mechanicsville and blew up in Mechanicsville. And so did FireHouse. FireHouse, some of their members were from Mechanicsville and other areas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2 of them Bill worked over at Don Warner Music. I guess they were on Libby. He was one of the guitar techs and stuff up there and salespeople. And I think when they moved out on West Broad Street, I think that's when I started working over there. And I think he had bailed out and was starting to go on tour. Him and Mike Foster both. They were just in town playing, and I guess they're coming back to Harley here middle of September.
But there was one of the guys when we used to all go downtown clubbing and we would get pizza at the end of the night. You know, that was like the thing, or, you know, you go to 7-Eleven and get nachos or whatever. And we were at the pizza place there down Chaco Bottom. And there was this car, there was this nice truck that was parked there. I don't know what kind of truck it was. It was a red truck. That's all I remember. But it was so nice. And so we were like, man, this is a really nice ride. Started talking to the guy. It was one of the guys from FireHouse, man, just sitting there. He had just gotten some pizza, probably been around the clubs too.
Yeah, like that. I mean, them boys, I remember when they started off as White Heat back in Newgate Prison down off Great Street. I forgot what the other band, there was another touring band that they kind of merged with, and that's when they became FireHouse, when Mike and them, I guess, left White Heat to merge into FireHouse. That's just kind of when I remember them.
Yeah, we have a lot of good artists from here. You know, Guar is from VCU. Mm-hmm. We have quite a few from around this area. Bruce Hornsby down the road, Charlottesville, Williamsburg area.
I remember Mike came over to my house one time. He was doing a benefit with one of my bands I was playing with, and he was sitting in playing with us. So he was rehearsing on my electronic rolling drum set and somehow broke a pair of sticks. And I'm like, you know, dude, how do you break a pair of sticks on a rubber drum set?
Oh, man.
You know, so he's like, you know, here, I'll give you these. So he gave me a set of his autograph sticks. I was like, oh, awesome. That'll do. Yeah, great guy. Really great. Very humble person.
Oh, that's good. Let's go into question 2. When did you first discover music? And you probably already talked a little bit about it when you were, you know, explaining where you got into the bands and stuff.
I discovered, I guess you could say, probably in the early 70s. Kind of goes back to my brother playing. He was learning guitar from, I think it was Marion Hodges, who's, I mean, just very well-known guitarist here in Richmond area. He would learn guitar and practicing guitar and got in a couple bands. And, you know, me being the younger brother, I was always, here, let me try to play bass. And, you know, I couldn't play bass. I was just always taken, you know, just by listening to him play and practice and rock out upstairs in the bedroom. I was like, you know, I want to do something. And then that's when one of his friends was selling a drum set. I remember my dad went over and picked it up and brought it home. Then I just pretty much self-taught, never took lessons or anything, you know, just listening to records and just kind of try to pick up, you know, how to do it and what sounds made what, and just kind of basically self-taught myself until I got into school and actually learning to have to read music and read drums. Got a much better understanding of it.
That's cool. And so drums have always been your instrument. You didn't start with anything else, or you haven't played anything else throughout the years? Just drums? No,
just drums. Like I said, I tinkered around trying to play bass guitar. Didn't really feel it. You know, tinkered around playing keyboards. Piano is supposed to be part of my craft as a drummer, and still never really figured that out too much, except to do chopsticks and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Just pretty much just stuck with the drums and anything I could pretty much beat on or hit on.
I remember when living over in Henrico, I had a band that some new houses were put up, and there was some kids in there and they were playing. And this is how I remember like the cover from 1984, because they had like Van Halen's 1984 the cover sitting there, and I thought it was so cool. That little baby smoking a cigarette on the cover. These guys were rocking out in their garage. So we, you know, riding bikes. We were young, you know, a little bit younger than they were. They were probably high school. And I just thought it was so cool. I always think that it's cool when somebody's in the band. When you gave me your card, you know, that day, all those years ago, I'm like, I was like, oh man, he's in a band. That's so cool.
Yeah, that day did a lot of real cool things. I mean, we opened up for Delbert McClinton several times, did a couple travel shows. I got picked up by Steve Stevenson, which was a big country music producer that was writing music, started doing some of that. And then they kind of went 100% country, where I was still in that rock and roll feel, and just, you know, the fit just kind of started undoing a little bit. So ended up getting out of that one, but still remained friends with them for years and years. The guy that had that one up, he passed away several years ago, and we all got together, a whole group of us, because he had started writing his second album. When he passed away, he had some of the vocal tracks done for the album. All of his friends that were musicians that knew him, his wife took money and put it all into the studio and had all his best friends get together and try to think, you know, what would he do? What would he want? What was he thinking when he wrote this? And because all we had was his vocals. We basically went in and recreated his entire album with his vocals on it. There was a whole group of musicians out of Richmond that all knew him. It was John Trimmer, the guy that passed away, and he was doing Christian rock music. He was writing his second album called Signs. I think Signs was his first one, and then we recreated the second one.
And what a great thing to do for a fellow musician.
It was just a lot of guys getting together, sitting around talking, and Here's what he's singing. What do you think what do you think he's feeling? What was his inspiration for this song? Where do you think he was going with it? And you can kind of hear when somebody sings, you can kind of get the feel for the rhythm or what he was going to kind of do with that song, how that song, whether it was going to be fast song, slow song. It turned out amazing. And it just gives me chills when I listen to it to know that we created that to his vocals.
Now, is that something that's on like Spotify and all the streaming, or is that something you guys had on tape? Or
we just did it, ended up selling the CDs. It was several years ago, kind of like before a lot of the Spotify stuff.
Gotcha.
And I don't think any of it ever made it up on Spotify. We created a whole mass thing of CDs and we're selling them to people.
That's a really cool homage to him.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's get into some music here and talk about the first song that you remember.
Hey, there's so many of them, but I guess what most anybody my age is going to be right there with me when I talk about Kiss. Kiss was it to me. I mean, there was no other.
Yeah.
I remember coming out in like 74, listening to Strutter and that, awesome live intro they did for it. Peter Criss was just, to me, I was just like, man, this is it. This is drums right here. And then later down the road, around, I don't know, 70, 76 or so, when Rush was coming out with all their Tom Sawyer and things like that, that just really lit me on fire. Probably first song was, I'd probably say Strutter from Kiss was the first one I remember just going crazy and becoming part of the Kiss army and having the belt buckles and the t-shirts and anything I could find that was Kiss.
Yeah, most people don't realize with artists like back in the day, in the 20s, 30s, 40s and so forth, that you would be like big time. You would have somebody impersonating Elvis and you would think that it was really Elvis singing. And with the Kiss, with their, makeup, nobody knew what those guys looked like. Until the 80s, they took their makeup off.
I remember as a kid, though, I had the Kiss dolls and tried to scratch the paint off the face to see if it showed me what they look like as a little kid. And I was like, okay, let's see. Maybe if I take the paint off the face, I'll be able to know what they really look like. Yeah, that's what you do when you're 8.
Yeah, and I went with Brian to a show. I got free tickets when I was working at Q94. Brian, that used to work at Skate America with all of us, and he loved Kiss. And I'm a Kiss fan, but I'm not like, part of the Kiss army and all that. He was all of that. And we go see Kiss, and it was no makeup, no theatrics, no nothing. They had like 3 or 4 opening bands. I think Slaughter opened up, Danger. I don't even know who. It was like another band that opened up for him. It was the Hot in the Shade tour. And I had been working like 2 or 3 jobs, and I fell asleep. And Brian was so mad at me. I can't believe you fell asleep in Kiss, man. You fell asleep in the Kiss concert, dude. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's bad, Johnny.
I know, but it was back in the day, with the theatrics and everything. I just kind of nodded off. I didn't like actually fall asleep and was snoring, laying on the ground or anything like that. But I was just so tired, man. It was so funny. But he was just so mad at me. I'm like, there's no theatrics. There's no fire. There's no, blowing fire out of his mouth and the big boots and all that kind of stuff. There's none of that.
Flying through the air, all the good stuff they do. I followed them. I'd say that was my first concert I went to, was a Kiss concert.
Oh, wow.
I saw them in Richmond Coliseum. And that was, I think it was one of their first Richmond shows and one of the last for a long time, because I think somebody like threw an M80 or something up on stage and it blew up right in front of Peter Criss's ear. And I remember them walking off and coming back yelling at the crowd and stuff.
Oh man, how stupid could it be?
Oh, I know. I watched somebody light a roll of toilet paper and throw it from the top of the Coliseum and land on some girl's hair. And I think back now, I was way too young to be at that concert. If you look at it, like today, back then, it was the place to be.
Yeah, it's just so funny, as young as we were going to concerts, but there was really nothing, else to do, and to be able to see somebody live. But, in Richmond, we had this stigma because I don't know if it was the U-Crops boys or who it was. I think they were the ones that got Stern off the air when he was on. We didn't have a lot of shows, like the Grateful Dead would sometimes come through. Sometimes they wouldn't come through. Kiss was not coming through. Like, so some of these bands that had this kind of what they considered a cult or whatever kind of following didn't come through because of all the, naysayers and stuff like that. So, we had to travel for some of those shows if we wanted to see them. I still need to go see Kiss, and I probably need to take Brian so I can, rectify that whole, nodding off in the Kiss concert.
Yeah, well, they're probably on their 12th farewell tour.
Yeah, I'll check out one of the farewell tours soon, I guess.
Yeah, I think I got three of the final tour shirts from three different three different times. They said, "Hey, this is it. We're quitting." And then year after that, they're back out doing it again. So
yeah, well, COVID messed everything up. So I think they were on their final tour, but it messed it up. So I think they're still out there too. And I need to go see them. Maybe I can see when they're going to be close to where Brian and I are at. Maybe we'll go out and I'll make sure that I'm refreshed so I won't fall asleep and maybe get some brownie points back.
Yeah. Yeah, they got Monster Energy drink now, so you're good to go.
Yeah,
Red
I'll
Bull.
just drink one of those, get a couple of Red Bulls. I'll be fine. Let's take a break and we'll be right back, okay?
You are still under the influence with DJ Johnny Bravo.
We are back. I'm Johnny Bravo. You're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Luke Gipson, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. All right, Luke. So let's talk about girlfriends. We can talk about that long distance dedication. I know that you're married, so you might choose a wife for this one. So what was your first couple song or that long distance dedication you want to send out to her?
My newly married wife, remarried. I will say it is Alison Krauss, When You Say Nothing at All. I think Keith Whitley did a version of it too, but that was our dance for our wedding. It's just one of those songs that just sat true to us because we can just look at each other and never have to say anything. We know exactly what we're thinking.
Oh, that's sweet. Now, is she into the same kind of music that you're into, or is she into like a different vibe?
She's definitely into the music I'm into. When we got married, she was like, "This guy will never like me. I'm boring. I sit at home with dogs. I watch TV." And here he is playing drums, touring around. I think when her and I met, I was playing with a band called Elixir, which was a Boston and Journey tribute band. Friends of ours were like, "You got to come meet this guy. You got to come meet this guy." She was real hesitant about going out, and then she finally came out to come hear us. It was just like a love at first sight type thing. The rest is history from there. Now she pretty much makes it to every single job I do. She can set my drum set up and tear it down, no problem. She helps me load in, load out. She runs our light show for me. I've taught her how to do that. She's taken a huge interest in everything that I do musically, and I thank God for her every day.
Yeah, it's good when you have somebody that partners up with you to that extent to come out to your shows and run lights and set up your equipment. Because that equipment stuff, man, I know you DJ as well. That equipment stuff, tearing that stuff down, putting that stuff up. A lot of people don't realize. They're like, "Hey, I'll give you $50. Come out and DJ a party." It's like, dude, you can't pay me $50 just to set up and tear down. I mean, come on, man.
Exactly. What's that little meme thing? It's you put $5,000 worth of stuff in a $500 car to drive 50 miles to make $5. It's crazy.
It's like everybody wants to pay you $50. Like, wait a minute. It's crazy.
My cousin is a DJ also, and we used to always talk about pricing and stuff. And I was like, "Man, how do you get that much money for what you do?" I never charge something like that. He's always said, "You're the entertainment of the wedding or the party, and you need to be paid more than what the wedding cake costs." Wedding cakes are flour and sugar.
And anybody can make them.
You at least got to be paid more than a wedding cake. I never thought of it like that. I've always been that laid back kind of DJ. I have fun when I do them, but my job now kind of keeps me from doing as many of them as I want to.
You have a good heart too. And so that's the other thing. So sometimes it's like the church thing. So I'll just do it for $50 or $75 or $150,
oh, yeah.
Or, whatever. Then somebody's getting married. I'll just do it for $200 or $300, whatever it is. I'm not trying to get all the money out of them, but like your friend's saying, you're not making any money. Like I said, we tear up and put up and tear down. It's get the gas to get out there. It's worth more than $50.
You're normally there like 2 hours before the event starts and at least 2 hours after it ends, setting up or tearing down and loading in. You got to wait for everybody to exit the building half the time. So if you do that, that's 4 hours there and a 4-hour event. So you're there every 8 hours and something. So people don't look at it that way.
I haven't done too many either, just because that fighting with the money and then bringing the stuff out. And people are like, with iPods and telephones and everything and Spotify, it's like they want to create their own list and they come up to you and it's no longer that they're making a request. It's that you have to play this. And then after that, play this. And then after that, play. It's like, wait a minute. I'm the one getting paid to DJ here. I think I would know the crowd a little bit better than you would.
Yeah, I get them where they turn around and give you a playlist and say absolutely nothing else than what's on this playlist. And, it hurts when people are walking around going, oh, man, that DJ's horrible. Oh, he's terrible. And then you feel that, you hear it, and then you start to play a couple things. You get people up and dance, and next thing you know, Brian comes over and says, I set my list up. Okay, back to your list. And people walk away going, this bride and groom might be happy, but your guests think I'm horrible. The pains of the wedding thing.
I know that exceptionally well. When I worked for Carnival Cruise Lines as the DJ in the Fantasy, I used to always have these people that would come up and say, hey, play this song, or hey, play that song. And I'm like, you really want me to play that song right now? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you see the people that are just out there and they're like tearing the floor up and the floor is so packed you can't even get on the floor? And they're like, yeah. Like, all right, I'm going to play your song. You ready? I'll play their song and everybody leaves. And I'm like, I'll put the other song back on and the crowd gets back into the song. But it's like, I know what I'm doing. I've had expertise in doing this for so long. You know what I mean? You're the same way. That's what I don't really like about it. It's like, allow me to entertain you. That's what I'm here for. I'm not only here to get paid, and you are paying me. So I do want to respect what you're saying, but this is a party. Like, let's party.
That's right on that one.
It's hard for a wedding too, because it's like start, stop, start, stop. They're doing the cake. They're doing a bouquet. And the ones that you can really get where you're getting into a groove, you have to stop and they're doing something. And then, you got to start back up and then they're doing something else. By the time you really get going, you got to stop again. It's either one way or the other. It's never where you can just do a party, because it's a release for us DJs to get all that out, because we have all that music in us and we just want to get it all out and do a party and just have fun.
Definitely. I get those with a lot of the jobs I get. I'm kind of blessed on not having so many of the weddings anymore. And I do just more outdoor functions where you're actually more background music than anything. You're not really there to make people dance, but you're not there to put anybody to sleep either. I've gotten to where I just love doing those.
Oh, that's good. Well, you talked about your first concert. Do you want to talk about another concert, or maybe the last concert, or a concert that was just so memorable?
I know I said something about the Justin Bieber thing. I remember taking my kids a couple years ago to go see him and watch Marvin dance. Yeah, I had to give the kid credit, man. It was probably one of the best shows I ever watched, watching him perform. And I think he said one bad word the entire show with a sold-out arena. So, I mean, I gave him props on it. A lot of people give him a hard time, but I was actually pretty impressed with it. I know, like, one of the, what was the last one we just saw? I think we just went and saw Foreigner out there at Meadow Event Park. We did go see the, how can I forget that, the big Motley Crue Stadium tour. Ended up landing tickets for that. Got to see Joan Jett. She was one of my favorites. Def Leppard, you can't say nothing wrong about them. Hysteria, probably one of the most perfect songs ever written. Poison, put on a great show. Lots of kudos to their drummer, Ricky Rocket. I've always been a fan of him. For him to be a cancer survivor and come back and still keep doing what he's doing, selling out stadium stuff. And then, of course, Motley Crue. So boys, grew up with them, listened to them. They're all still doing it. So it's a great concert.
Yeah, Poison and Tesla was my first concert. I've seen Motley Crue a couple times on the Dr. Feelgood tour. I didn't get a chance to go see him this time. I've seen Joan Jett as well. I've seen her open up a couple times. I think it was for Heart and Cheap Trick. And then I saw Def Leppard finally down in Virginia Beach, and they were awesome. But I really wanted to do the stadium tour. I just missed it. It's all over the news, and they are just all over social media. And it's just like, it's the place to be. It's like the concert to be at this year, I believe.
Yeah, we got blessed with that. A friend of mine had tickets that he was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing it this day. And I mean, he's had them for, 2 years now. But he bought them from when they first said they were going to put it out, and then COVID shut the whole thing down, and he ended up not being able to go, and we ended up being able to land the tickets off of them, and made a short notice. Hey, you want to go? Yeah, let's go. And just jumped in the car and took off. Went up there to DC.
Oh man, and I heard that Poison is really rocking it out on this show. I'm not sure if they're saying that they're the best on it or not, because I mean, it's like, how can you compare? You got Joan Jett, you got Def Leppard, you got Poison, and you got Motley Crue. It's like, just all of them just blow your mind. I
really, really did enjoy Poison. I got to say, I really, really enjoyed it. I've always loved Poison to begin with. I think last time I saw them, though, was like at Innsbruck After Hours out here in Short Pump area, back before they moved it back behind down off Cox Road, when they used to have it right up in Innsbruck. So I remember they came up there and played. That was the last time I saw them until the stadium tour, and they still sounded just as good then as they did back when I heard them back in the day. Caught them in the Coliseum a couple times with shows. Can't remember who they were with though. I mean, absolutely amazing show. Just really was. Joan Jett, for her age, still killed it. And like I said, Def Leppard's just, I mean, they're one of my favorites to begin with.
When we saw Joan Jett, my wife and I were at that show, and I think we were with her cousin and some other folks, and there were some ladies in front of us, and they were really concerned for Joan Jett. They were like, does she have cancer? Is she sick? I think she looks damn good. She's still wearing that onesie and everything with the belt. She's out there just rocking. You know, she comes out there and she'll just throw it down, and then she's out. She's probably even would headline. She could.
I mean, she had just several albums of stuff that she did, and it just blew me away that it all sounded so good. I loved her. I loved the show. I loved watching her.
And when I saw Poison, they actually opened up for Tesla. So I don't know if you were at that show at the Coliseum or not. That was like probably 88, something around there. They weren't even doing their own show yet. They were opening up for Tesla. That was when Tesla had that Signs song out.
Signs, yes. I can't remember. I think when I saw them, they were headlining, and I'm not sure who it was. But it was like a 3-band show. I do remember that, but I don't remember the other ones that were playing with them.
Well, since we're into the music and we're talking about that, let's talk about your first music purchase. And was it a vinyl, tape, CD, or stream? And where did you purchase it?
Kiss Alive 2 was my first album I remember I bought on my own, saved my money and everything. And I went to, what was it? Gary's Music, I think is what it was called, out in Eastgate, out in the East End area.
Yeah,
it was a little record tape shop, and went up there, waited for him to open the doors to go buy it. Still got the album.
Gary's had some good stuff up there. I think it was called Gary's Records and Tape, or it was just Gary's. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was Gary's Records and Tapes. I remember buying like Joan Jett's and bought the Go-Go's album. Go-Go's was probably, We Got the Beat, I think was one of the first songs when I was a kid I learned to play, just because it had all the drums in it. Gina, their drummer, Gina, I was a fan of her. I loved the Go-Go's growing up, that kind of punky style music also. But those were the first couple ones I think I remember buying. Then we also had Dean's One Stop. I used to go up at the top of the hill.
I remember Dean's One Stop too. It's like you could buy in bulk there. I think when I worked at Sam Goody, that took over Gary's at Eastgate, then it became Fairfield Commons Mall. I was working there, and we would have to go, if we needed extra tapes or CDs, we would have to go there and pick them up.
Bulk.
I know exactly where the building was and everything because I used to go there all the time. That particular store, we really needed to be on an R&B. They had an R&B and niche program, and I was able to get them on that R&B niche because we would get like 50 REMs and like 3 Tupacs. And Tupac's would sell out like as soon as I opened the gate. And so I'd have to go every time and go over there and get those from them, and then be sitting on like all of these REMs, and I'd send, more than probably half of them back. So finally they got me on the R&B niche where they were bringing in the right set of product because we weren't making as much money by going and picking them up from the wholesaler at that time.
They did do all the bulk sales and stuff there. I do remember that.
And that's where we would go and get them. We'd pick them up from there. I'd either go or I'd send my assistant manager over to pick them up, either one. But I knew new release day, if we were getting a Biggie or a Tupac or Mary J. Blige or whatever it was, I was like, we need to go get some more of those. We only got 2 or 3 of those.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have a problem with the rock album. And during Christmas time, it was always go get some more Temptations, go get some more Jackson 5. Those were
all the ones that were going.
Yeah, they were the ones that were flying off the shelves. Well, let's take a break, so hang on.
All righty.
Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo.
We are back. I'm Johnny Bravo. You're going under the musical influence of today's guest, Luke Gipson, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. All right, Luke, it's the question that everybody loves to hate. What's your favorite song?
Favorite song is, if anybody knows me, knows it's Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Don't know why. I'm one of the biggest Journey fans out there, probably. Love them, seen them several times. Several different drummers.
They've gotten a bunch of different guys over the years, changed lead singers, Steve Perry, leaving them.
Well, like I said, I mean, they're a timeless band that just, no matter when you hear that song, it lights you up.
Now, do you watch Stranger Things at all?
I did the first 2 seasons.
So I'm not going to ruin it for you, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody out there that hasn't seen it, but I just wanted to say there's one scene on season 4 where they play Separate Ways, and it's like
okay.
It's like the best song ever, and it's like the remix, and it's the best song ever for that particular scene in the show.
Oh, wow.
So if you get up to season 4, try to, like, season 2 is a little iffy. If once you get past season 2, season 3 is better, and season 4 is like phenomenal. But there's one scene with Separate Ways. It's the remix, and it's so awesome. Like, it just fits the scene. And I mean, that's set back in the 80s anyway.
Now you're going to make me get hooked on it and have to go look.
Because you like Journey, and you know, it'll be a journey to watch the rest of the series for you.
Awesome. I have to look forward to that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's other songs that are getting attention, but Journey is one of those ones that, you know, does as well. And there's a couple other songs that really get a lot of the attention from those.
Just the band in itself is, I mean, they're timeless. People still use them for everything.
Yeah, I mean, they sound so great. You know, the recordings just still have that fire to them when you listen to them. And it's like still a lot of those songs you just crank up. I mean, there's certain songs in the car that you just crank up, and Journey is one of those bands that you're just like, you know, most every song, even the slower ones, you're like, let me turn that up. That was this song or that song or whatever, you know, and it takes you back to a certain time frame in your life.
Yeah.
Memorable.
High school dances, dancing the faithfully.
Exactly. So it takes you right back to that moment in time as soon as you hear it. Well, we have another good question for you. What's your favorite band?
Of course, Journey and Kiss are my 2 favorites. I mean, I followed them. I was playing in a Journey tribute band, so that was just like a dream come true, and those guys nailed it. And, you know, any Kiss concert I can get to, I try to get to them.
Now, do you have their whole catalog?
I do not have the whole. I've got a lot of the Journey stuff all downloaded. I don't have the entire Kiss catalog downloaded. I do have a huge selection of it, though. Huge selection. And, you know, sometimes if I do them long road trips, it would be the Kiss playlist. You know, sometimes they end up getting me a ticket for speeding.
Well, and there's a movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a movie called Beautiful Girls. And in the movie, they play Beth. And that was a good song for, you know, that particular movie where they play the Beth song, because he had basically gave the girl like a ring and everything. And they're like living up north somewhere, and he's still icing her lot and clearing her driveway out while Beth is playing on the radio.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So it's Beautiful Girls. It's got Natalie Portman in it when she was really young. And, you know, some of the guys, I think it's Matt Dillon that was in it, and some other guys in it. They're all talking about beautiful girls, and he comes back for his high school reunion. And it's all the stuff that he gets into that like weekend or whatever. And it's pretty good, but they have a good soundtrack. It's a good, if you ever look up Beautiful Girls, it's a good soundtrack to that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, check that out.
They had Gene and Paul were in, what was that movie? Why Him? With James Franco in it.
Yeah.
Comedy. Yeah. That was awesome when they showed up at the end.
Yeah.
Coming out singing.
He had the whole doves. He's like, go for doves, don't go for doves.
Yeah.
And they're come walking down the street and they're singing and everything, because the parents like loved Kiss.
Love Kiss. That was their concert, their first concert together.
Yeah, and they were in the house. They came into the house for a moment because, you know, the guy and the girl had something that they wanted to discuss. So they're like, Kiss is in our house. Gene Simmons is in our house.
And then they're doing Christmas carols and he's playing the triangle.
Yeah.
That was the best scene.
And they're decked out too. So they're decked out in all the makeup and everything.
Great movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, are you ready for the big finale?
Yes, give me the big finale.
All right, let's do it. How has music impacted your life?
I mean, that's like an hour-long question. I mean, it just has. I have a little sign that sits up in my drum room that says, when words fail, music speaks. And that's just something that I just kind of live by forever. It's a language, it's a feeling, it's an expression, it's a passion. I guess, you know, the biggest impact it's had is when I actually started teaching drums. and was able to pass on what I loved so much to other kids and to watch them grow and get to where they're playing better than I was. I was like, there's nothing more I can teach you, move on. And, and that's like right now, I mean, I've got a friend of mine that's close, same age I am, and decided, a while back, he's like, I want to learn to play drums. So it started off just coming over and having a couple cold ones, and then it turned into actually learning and playing. And now he kind of followed me into the church scene and became part of the lighting crew and stuff at the church scenes. Always kept saying, one day I want to be right there. I want to be right there doing what you're doing. And we made it happen. Now he's up on stage playing. There's just moments like that I just can't express to you the feeling or the joy it gives me to see somebody else have the same passion that I have for it. I remember years ago, one of my students I had when I used to teach at Don Warner Music, moved out, and I ran into his parent in the airport one time, and I hadn't seen them in years. And she's like, oh yeah, Andrew's playing in this band out of Boston, and they're actually going to be downtown, down at, I think it was like Bogart's back room or something like that, downtown. He said, you need to come out and surprise them. I think it's just one moment I'll never forget. When I walked up, I was like, hey, man, you're awesome. Can I buy you a beer? And it took him like a couple minutes to sit there and look to finally realize who I was, because he hadn't seen me in years. And then just to see the joy he had, everybody, come here, I want you to meet this guy. It's just moments like that. I mean, it's really impacted my life. It's kept me from when I was in really hard and dark times. It's just something that I was always able to turn back to. And it's just pretty much just been my life. I'm still doing it. I'll do it for as long as I can do it and keep doing it. And it's just, I love it. It's a passion.
Well, one of the reasons why I made season 2 in the band was because, of COVID, and we didn't think we'd get back to this whole scene, this whole local scene. And you're part of that local scene. You guys go out and, play and do these, events for people. And we didn't think we were going to get this back. And it's just such a joy to have it back and to be able to, express yourself, because you need that outlet. When you love music, you need that therapy of the music. You want to speak to other people, and that's how you do it. And I know, you play in several bands, and I know you play for the church, and I know you DJ and do all these things. I'm just glad that you're able to get back out with your guys, Exit 38, and be live and be local, Oh,
yeah. We're booked all the way through the end of the year. We're doing out at Urbana Oyster Festival, playing that one this year, which is a, real big show for us. I see a lot of good things with this band in the horizon. Hasn't been together super long. The guitar player and I started it just sitting in his garage. And, we were all church members, and we were like, let's just start playing. And we just sat around and played. Never really had any real desire to get out and do anything. It was just a group of guys just having fun, and got a couple new members up in the band after making some changes around. And some of those guys just said, hey, man, this is good. We're, boosh. And it's taken off. It's a very respected band out there right now playing the music scene, and I love it.
Oh, well, that's great. So do you guys have like a website, or do you have like merch or anything like that? Where can people go to find out more information about Exit 38?
It's mainly Facebook, Exit 38 RVA. There's web links and stuff that are on there. There's links you can get to listen to music. There's tons of videos and stuff up there. There is an Instagram, Exit 38 RVA on Instagram also. That one's kind of newly started. Biggest thing to do is just pull it up on Facebook, find out where we're playing, and come out and watch a show. You'll love it.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you so very much.
I appreciate you being on the local scene and all the stuff that you're out there doing, even though I might not be able to get a part of it. I want to try to come out to one of your shows, so let me know next time you're doing something local, and I'll try to come out and support you guys.
It. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for going under the musical influence of today's guest, Luke Gipson, on Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. Go under the influence on Instagram at DJJONNI Bravo _ under the influence. Contact us by email. It's djjohnnybravo.undertheinfluence@yahoo.com. Check out my other podcast with my son, Hero Chat Show. Please subscribe to Under the Influence with DJ Johnny Bravo, where you listen to your podcast. I'm Johnny Bravo. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
are no longer under the influence with DJ Johnny Bravo. Until next week.